So Broadway Favorites just posted a portion of me singing from Beauty and the Beast. Probably one of my favorite sections to sing, that little reprise. I'll play it, but I thought it would be interesting to kind of give you an insight of my thought process in approaching this particular section, what I hear, and if I could go back 8 years and coach myself through this, what I would do differently to make it a little bit more acoustically pleasing, a little bit more efficient, and just a little better, to be honest. But let's listen to it and see what's going down. Okay, let's literally just start there. So I come in, the energy level is high, but in terms of what I'm hearing just like a very speech-like quality. I'm talking a little bit higher in my normal speech. He asked me to marry him, as opposed to he asked me to marry him. So it's got a little bit of a mix in there. I'm not really shouting. To me, it sounds actually quite efficient and healthy. I had to do this show 8 times a week. So I had to find places where, the emotion is intense, but vocally I needed to kind of conserve and be economical about the sounds I was making. So I think there I chose a higher speech-like quality, not too loud, and kept it on the brighter side to kind of give it that punch, but it wasn't really costing me that much. And then I come in and I totally give you a different color. So I gave you a little bit warmer vowel. I chose a little bit more of a headier mix. The volume was still pretty up there. And I thought in terms of story, it was appropriate. I was kind of making fun of what it would be like to be, Gaston's wife. So, that kind of, prim and proper is kind of what I was going for. So in terms of story, I thought it would be interesting to kind of give you that color. So I did that by warming up the vowels, so not as bright, but kind of warmer. And then I gave you a little bit more of a headier mix. Madame Gaston, can't you just see it? As opposed to, Madame Gaston, can't you just see it? Right? So both are, I think, fine choices, but in terms of story, I think that, fit a little well. So, let's keep going. All right, so there I switched back into a little bit more of a chest mix, right? So I go from a little bit of a warmer, headier place. Madame Gaston, can't you just see it? Yeah, so there. Madame Gaston, his little wife. So again, it's kind of like where I started, a little bit speechy, chest mix quality. I'm hearing, again, the brighter vowels. I'm not shouting. It still, to me, sounds efficient. It wasn't really costing me anything. Again, keeping it on the brighter side of things allowed me to get that kind of, that ping, that punch, without pushing the volume so much. Again, I had to do this 8 shows a week. So picked my places where I needed to be a little bit more economical. That was one of the places. So speech, bright vowels to a little bit warmer, headier mix, back to kind of brighter vowels. Let's see what I do next. Okay, so let me just talk about what I hear. So in terms of vowels, they're not super bright and not super dark. It's not clear, but I choose to stay in a little bit more of a headier mix, maybe even like a middle of the road mix. And this is where I would go back and coach myself, because I do hear a little bit of too much pressure on the voice, in that pitch range, on that vowel, in that register. No, sir, not me, I guarantee it. It's just too kind of, it's too warm. So I think if I were to coach myself and do it again, I don't think I would change the registration, but I would mess with the vowels. No, sir, not me, I guarantee it. to. I want much more than this provincial law. I was really pushing the volume. You can even hear a little bit of a waver in the beginning because the throat, there was too much pressure on it. Again, in that pitch range, in that vowel quality, and in that register quality. So that's the one thing I think I would have done different. Yeah, let's keep going. Okay. Yeah, I think it would have been so much, well, one, more efficient and a little bit more appropriate if I had gone a little bit brighter. Not necessarily changing the register quality. I do hear a pretty middle of the road mix, maybe on the headier side. I have to listen again, which is back to a little bit more of a chestier mix, the brighter vowel. So I think in terms of also transitioning into that, it just would have been smoother and less like, oh, ah. I want one more than this provincial life. Right? It's just a little bit more efficient, a little bit clearer. I want adventure in the great wide somewhere. Kept it very bright, and again, it wasn't really costing me anything. I hear, again, the registration is chesty mix. I'm not shouting. It's very bright. Again, I had to do it 8 times a week. Okay, let's see where I go. Drama. All right, so there I choose to back off the, there I choose to back off the volume, give you a little bit more of a warmer vowel. In terms of storytelling, I think that was appropriate. I wanted more than I wanted more than I can tell. I think actually both would have been fine. I could have kept it on the brighter side and still backed off volume and kept the kind of the same registration. I wanted more than I can tell. Let's see what I did. Brighter. Too much pressure, too dark. Chest mix on the bright vowel. 7/8 volume. Somewhere I wanted more than I can tell. And then I went back into might be glad to have someone understand. I want so much more than they've got planned. And then everything kind of stayed in a little bit more of a speech-like quality, quieter because I got a little bit more intimate. Intimate? Yeah, that's the right word. And I think that in terms of what I'm hearing, in terms of function, again, I listen for registration, vowel, and volume. So I give you kind of an 8 or a 9. I want adventure in the great wide somewhere. And then I take it down, keeping it bright. I wanted more than I can tell. I chose to give you a darker vowel. I'm wondering if it probably would have been better to stay on the brighter side, but kept it soft and kept it a little bit more mixy. I wanted more than I can tell. That's a vowel change. That's not a registration change. A registration change would probably sound like, I wanted more than I can tell. I wanted more than I can tell. So the first one was full on chest. The second one was a little bit more of a mixier place. And then again, I kind of trickle down and just keep it nice and easy, nice and bright, and a little bit more speechy, mixy quality. Tell, and for once it might be grand. You actually hear that B. It's a little squeezed and a little stuck, and I'm not open. I got a little tied up on that B. And for once it might be grand, might be. So I needed to open up the vowel a little bit more and sing through the vowel as opposed to B. Once it might be grand, which is what happened here. No one's perfect. It didn't kill me. I didn't die. But listening to it now, it did sound a little squeezed, a little too heavy as well. And for once it might be grand. I think maybe even like a straight up pop into a super heady, breathy. And for once it might be, maybe not. And for once it might be grand. Maybe that would have been nice, like a kind of a breathy place. Be grand to have. Totally cut me off, and I'm out of storage, so I'm using an iPad. But better choice. But I think I ended in a nice kind of just speechy, comfortable place. And for once it might be grand to have someone understand. I want so much more than they've got planned for. Again, brighter, and then I got really dark on the floor and kind of really chesty. I'm not sure why I did that. I don't think that was the greatest choice. It's a choice. It's super, you know, it just comes out of nowhere, I guess. So I might have done that a little different. And they got planned for. That probably would have been better. All right, well, there's a look on kind of how I listen and how I coach myself, how I coach my students, a little bit into like how I work, you know, in my voice studio. So I hope you enjoyed.